So they put your hands up, hands up. They wanna see game, you better man up, man up. Cause me and TJ came to shut them down, shut them down. Ain't got the block hot, stop, drop and roll, that's why they running now. So grab a team and see who run it now. Who running this? Cause you know that my team, we all be stunting now. Real talk, keep telling you this is just that young head, Mr. Got him like, oh no, guess what he done next? Why? Let's get him.
I never thought that I would see myself where I'm at. They always said I wasn't good enough for that. But I kept on working every day and pushing hard till the day I saw myself an NBA superstar. I used to sit back and just toss the rock around, dreaming that I was the hottest baller in the town. I never thought that I would live to see my dreams, to the point when I hit the block, they're yelling out when they see me, I'm a baller. Maybe something like a shot. Maybe something like a shot. Riding in them penny painting bottles, bottles. Ask around, they know me as a baller, 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 baller. Maybe something like a shot. Baller, baller. Riding in them penny painting bottles, bottles. Yeah, ask around, they know me as a baller, baller, baller. Yeah, okay. Since I got on, you see my life just ain't the same. It's a daily hustle, struggling to perfect my game. And I really can't stop cause there's no one who can hold me now. When a ball lace up game on, then I make you look like a clown. With everything I've gone through, I just can't believe how many people out there play me. See, I understand how badly y'all want on my team. Cause every time I hit the block, I'm yelling, you wanna beat me on the baller. Maybe something like a shot caller. Riding in them candy painting parlors. Okay, ask around, they know me as a baller. They know me as a baller. Baller, baller, baller. Yeah, maybe something like a shot caller. Baller, riding in them candy painting parlors. Parlors, ask around, they know me as a baller. Ladies and gentlemen, we can go toe to toe, flow to flow, whatever you wanna do. But no matter where you move, we're gonna be on to you. And ain't nobody gonna get past the team. With the way I cross over, got 'em all like Ras is mean. Oh yeah, Ras the king. When it come to ballin' these courts, so up with my sneakers all clean, tank top, ballin' in shorts. I'm a baller, of course, so I ain't stopping my streets until they know that I'm the hottest thing to play on the streets. You better ask somebody. Maybe something like a shot caller. Riding in them candy painting parlors. Ask around, they know me as a baller. The officials, baller. They know I'm in the building. 3,000 in the tank, man. NBA Bulls, riding in them candy painting parlors. We got you, man. Ask around, they know me.
Hello, everyone. It's Sean the Wise One here again. Just want to recap that Sixers game. It was a great game. First game where we looked like a team ready to compete for a championship. So there was a lot of good things, to come from that game. Hopefully, that was the launching pad that we need to start playing some good basketball when we match up against the Heat. Joel Embiid, my apologies, Joel Embiid again established his dominance in this game. Showed you why he is the MVP of this league with his 33 points. I don't want to quote the rebounds. I don't remember how many rebounds he had this game, but nonetheless, he had another double double with a 30-point game and like 3 blocks. And this is what he does. James Harden, as you can see, he's still picking up his game. It's unfortunate that he had that little ankle injury that he suffered, but hopefully he's on the up and up. He has about 3 days to rest up and get ready for the game against the Heat, game one. So everything right now, at least, is on the up and up. Doc Rivers got to survive with that whole pressure, with the pressure cooking and all that pressure that was being cooked up with him. If we were to ever lose this game that we lost, you know. But thank God we didn't lose. We won the game. Doc Rivers is the only person that gives me cause to pause when it comes to this Sixers team winning a championship. All of the games that he has lost, when he had leads, it just doesn't make any sense to me. He doesn't make any in-game adjustments, but these are things that everybody as Sixers fans should know already. On top of the things that he did with the Clippers and with the Magic, that same Magic team that people don't really talk about, that was the same team that had Tracy McGrady. For anybody that knows, Tracy McGrady was one of the best scorers in all of basketball, in my opinion. Second to none. I mean, if I had it my way, I'd take Tracy McGrady over Kobe Bryant. But that's just my opinion. Let me not get off of track. In the end, the Sixers were the better team than the Raptors. The Raptors were lucky to even win 2 games, but, with James Harden, with us acquiring James Harden toward the end of the trade deadline, just not enough time, not enough games for your team to gel. So right now, we're there, you can see the team is clearly trying to figure some things out while they're playing in the postseason. Hopefully, they manage to pull it off. Because at the end of the day, they have more talent than the Heat. James Harden, I don't know about a max contract ever. If we're talking about 260, 250, 220 million, I don't think we should pay that man that much money, considering he's 32, 33. Looks like the wrong side of it as well. So I wouldn't pay that man that much money regardless, even if he somehow pulls a straw out of his you-know-what. It's not going to change much for me. We've already seen signs of him slowing down, and then he doesn't have the best eating habits, doesn't really take care of his body, in terms of compared to other players in this league that do a better job taking care of their body. And it's not a knock against Harden, but if you're going to live your life like that, the organization has to know, as a team, they can't sign you to a long-term deal, especially worth that much money. It doesn't make any sense when you have a player in Embiid in his prime where you have to do everything to win now. So that's just one of those things that I think about. Nonetheless, if it's just one of those situations where I hope Daryl Morey, he's still doing some work in the off season, thinking of how he can acquire Bradley Beal, because I do believe that would be the last missing piece to a potential dynasty. And I'm talking about, I could see easily 3-4 championships if we were to get Bradley Beal on the Sixers. On to Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris. They played great today. Can't say enough about those two players. Tobias Harris, I apologize for all of the things that I said throughout the season. I was upset at you, frustrated, irritated, all of the things that you could think of in the vocabulary. I was at you. And thank God you turned it around. You're still not an all star, but you're at least playing like you deserve to be in the NBA. You're playing with swag. And so you're not playing to the level of the contract that you signed, but if you deducted 30 to 40 million off of that, that's how much you're worth, and right now I feel like you deserve that. So in the end, you're doing what you have to do, and that's all I could ask for. You're playing with confidence, and that can take you very far. Tyrese Maxey never lacked confidence, so that was never his issue. He just kind of went cold, and I think some of that is attributed to James Harden with the ball in his hand. Um, all the time, damn near. If Joel Embiid doesn't have the ball, it's James Harden, and back and forth. And so Tyrese Maxey is very limited, in times when he can have the ball in his hand. With that being said, he knows. Whether it's him himself or players on the team telling him to not defer, because he's so good of a player that he'd only be hurting the team if that's what he did, by deferring. So Tyrese Maxey, 3-level scorer, his speed and his burst, his quickness is second to nobody I've ever seen. He goes from zero to a blur. That's the best way I could describe it. He'll take us very far, very far. But in terms, for all Sixers fans, for any of you guys that are watching me and giving my page a try, or a look, I should say, one thing that you definitely want to consider, before just thinking this team is automatically going to win a championship or contend for a championship, is Doc Rivers at the end of the day. Luckily, we have way more than enough talent compared to the Raptors, why it shouldn't have been as competitive or hard as it was. But you're in the belly of the beast right now. You go from one guy in Nick Nurse that I adore. He's one of the better head coaches in this league. I think probably top 2, top 3. You go from Nick Nurse to Eric Spoelstra. Eric Spoelstra has more talent on the roster than a Nick Nurse with the Raptors, but even then, you have a Jimmy Butler, you have a PJ Tucker, you have a Victor Oladipo, who before he got hurt was actually a star player. One can make the argument he was a better offensive player. Offensive to Okay, so when I say offensive, I'm really emphasizing scoring. A lot of people probably don't look at offensive players, and they probably don't just subject it to just scoring. So in that case, I'll just talk about scoring. If you talk about literally specifically just scoring, Victor Oladipo has that in spades. He can score, I think, in my opinion, better than Jimmy Butler. He's a better offensive player than Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is a better facilitator, better playmaker, but I don't think he's a better offensive player than a Victor Oladipo. So if Victor Oladipo keeps getting healthier, that would improve the Heat's chances of beating the Sixers. But not really. In the end, not really, because none of the talent on that team equates to what you have in a quote-unquote James Harden and what you have in our MVP and Joel Embiid. And then Tyrese Maxey and Danny Green as a champion. You can't disrespect that. Him being a 3-time champion brings something to the table. That experience. Although Danny Green can go on those shooting slumps at the worst time scenario, you just have to hope that this isn't one of those situations where he has one of those games in the worst of times. Regardless of that, people want to talk about James Harden and him being guarded. I think it'll actually be a lot easier because although you do have a lot of the same thing that you're going up with against the Heat in terms of their defensive ability and their ability to switch, they're not as long as the Raptors. James Harden was going up against guys like Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, you know, um, the other guy that Chris Boucher. All of these players that I'm naming are damn near 6'8". So, yes, you have a Jimmy Butler. Yes, you have a Victor Oladipo. Yes, you have a Kyle Lowry. All of these players are significantly shorter, although they're defensive players no less. They're significantly shorter, which is going to help James Harden, and it's going to be it's going to be advantage James Harden. Uh, Joel Embiid, it's going to be the same damn thing. Nobody on the Heat have an answer for Joel Embiid. The best player that can guard Joel Embiid won't even be in their starting lineup and that's a guy I don't even remember his name, but it's like Harkenstein, or he's a guy that doesn't even play, just off size and girth alone. But Bam Adebayo is their starting center, so I expect Bam Adebayo to be playing at least 36 plus minutes, if not more. Which if he does play, he's going to be at a significant disadvantage going up against Joel Embiid. The whole team will, and then that's what will allow the entire team to flourish, because it looks like now that we've beaten the Sixers have beaten the Raptors, the Raptors have always been a thorn in Embiid's side, primarily because they always throw bodies at him, which is exactly what the Heat are going to do. And so Joel Embiid, just getting out of this Raptors series, is well prepared to play against the Heat and know what they're going to do. So I strongly expect that he'll be ready. And yeah, that's about it on the Embiid front and the Harden front. We just have more talent than the Heat when it comes down to it. Jimmy Butler has never been able to guard Harden, and so hopefully that does not change. I don't believe that it will. It's not all about just burst. I think Harden is getting his burst back gradually as he keeps playing, and he has the handles to be able to get himself anywhere on the floor at the end of the day, and he's not expected to be the primary guy. That's what's so beautiful about this whole thing. James Harden, some games, is not even the second best player. So as long as he can continue to do what he's doing, and he's getting better, getting more in shape, and doing all the things that he needs to do for the Sixers to make a long run, I strongly believe that's exactly what they will do. Jimmy Butler is their best player, and Jimmy Butler, there's nothing to fear in the Heat. The only way the Sixers lose this series is if the Sixers beat themselves, or if Doc Rivers loses the game and coaches underwhelmingly compared to Eric Spoelstra out there. So that's just basically where we are with that. And I fully expect us to win Game 1. I can't wait to make the next episode to this podcast. We will recap Game 1 and talk about Game 2. Can't wait. Enjoy, everybody. Hit me with a thumbs up and subscribe.